And then what? Hey, I'll have to call you back.
Does the employer know that you spend company time and resources flirting and giggling on the phone? Edward Soniga for Richard Mwako.
Okay, do you have an appointment?
Would I be here if I didn't?
Okay, I'll get him right away. Would you like to have a seat, please?
Currently, we have one senior associate and one junior associate. You'll get to meet them in a moment or so.
That sounds like my cue to get to work.
No, that can wait. There are more pressing matters I wish to discuss with you. The reason I hired you in the first place. Give me 5 minutes.
Can you please have a seat?
You didn't even tell him I was here.
I will, in 5 minutes.
Wait for me here.
Liz, I told you, I'm in the middle of... It's all right. He's in my office. Edward Soniga.
Patience has never been one of my virtues.
That's a very well-known fact.
One of the facts that your success is attributed to.
You know me?
Of course, Edward Soniga.
One of yours.
Yes,
some other time we'll go through the niceties of the introduction, but right now I have more pressing issues to deal with.
Yeah, your son's case, I presume. I'd be as pressed as you are if I were in your position. Well, gentlemen, I'll excuse you.
No, hold on to that a little longer. We'll get back to it.
Of course.
Your son's case is being handled by Elsie Kamona. The hearing is on tomorrow.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but I'm more curious to know why your advocate, this Elsie Kamona, has no filed a suit against the police department.
I just got in. I should be able to cross-reference all the data. I will get back to you with the numbers in the next 3 minutes. Okay. Oh, sorry.
No. I should be the one apologizing. I am intruding.
No, I honestly didn't see you. Were you here all this time?
There you are. I was wondering where you'd gotten off to.
I needed to find a place to do some reading.
Yeah. Sorry I haven't set up your desk, but in my defense, the memo stated that we were to expect you on Monday.
Ah, the new guy.
Yes.
Kileta. Cyrus Kileta, right?
Cyrus will more than suffice. And you must be Elsie Kamona?
Elsie will more than suffice.
A pleasure.
But I have to back Liz up on that one. We were expecting you on Monday.
Considering I'll be thrown in the deep end, I should have been here a week earlier.
I can see why Mwako hired you.
Cyrus, just give me a few minutes. I'll set up your desk. But in the meanwhile, I'll show you to the boardroom. You can work from there. Elsie, Mwako wanted a minute with you.
About what? I have some numbers to look at before the meeting.
The Soniga case.
Don't tell me the father is here again. You know, the problem with our high-profile clients is they have this misguided perception that they're your only clients because we bill them so high.
Haven't you asked yourself why it was only my son who was picked by the police, yet there were the 3 boys with him?
Apart from the boys, there was a young female also arrested with your son.
The teenager was arrested because she was defending my son. And that's why I'm also paying for her legal representation. It was because of my son. She's in this mess.
I do.
My son is being framed.
Edward, the police...
Forget about the police report. My son is being framed. My enemies figure there's nothing they can do to me. I mean, I don't give them the time of the day, and now this. This is just a cheap circumvention to me through my son. Mwako, I don't need to spell it out for you.
Well, that's an angle.
Then you have failed to investigate. You have failed to bring that to light.
Come in.
Elsie, I'm not pleased with the outcome of the case so far.
We're doing the best that we can.
Your best is not good enough.
The facts of this case are shaky.
The only thing that is shaky is your lack of appreciation of the scenario here. You have to think outside the box. I'm surprised that you are unable to see that my son was being framed. Did you ask yourself why it was only my son who was picked by the police, yet there was a group of drunken gangsters with him? And more importantly, my son does not drink. He has never touched alcohol in his life.
Edward, speaking as a parent, our children do a lot of things behind our backs, some of which...
Not my son. I know my son. I have brought up Teddy the right way. This is a setup. And I expect you to prove that in court. Be sure to prove that in court. I have other matters to attend to. We'll be seeing you at the club, hopefully with good news regarding my son's case.
Get his son a life sentence.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Joe Kairu. Was I expecting you? Did we have an appointment?
Probably on Monday.
Monday? What about Monday?
Someone's not been reading my memos.
Pardon?
Cyrus Kileta. Our newest member to the team. He joins us from Crawford and Camper law firm.
Crawford and Camper. Quite impressive.
Yeah, not entirely.
Oh, but their farm is bigger than ours.
Yes, I know, but sizes are not impressive to me.
Anyway, I see why you decided to hire him. Hey, Joe Kairu.
You mentioned earlier.
Have you met Elsie Kamona?
Yes, you have.
Good. Welcome on board. Now let's get to work.
What do you mean?
Well, you're aware that the boys are minors. Yeah. There you go.
Is that all?
I believe so. That's our only defense.
Got it. I mean, what about the parent of the boy?
What boy?
The one who was arrested. I hear the father has many political connections.
Oh, you mean him?
I want nothing to do with politicians. Only God knows what he might do to me next.
You're not responsible for the son's arrest. You don't have to worry about anything.
I hope you're right.
Were you expecting someone else?
Actually, yes. Good to see you, though.
All rise. Court is now in session.
What's wrong?
Nothing I can handle.
Is this the magistrate you're saying you don't want her to hear my case?
Like I said, nothing I can't handle.
Dear Lord.
Your Honor, I will table before this court read and had evidence to show that OK Wines and Spirits are licensed to sell wines, spirits, beers, and any other alcoholic drink to take away customers, and is in fact in violation of the license by allowing people to drink within the premises. Further to this breach of license, the prosecution will establish that Okia Wines and Spirits, under the custodianship of the proprietor, Wilson Misuko, sold alcohol to Ted Soniga and Catherine Kwatu, being fully aware that they were underage. As such, he is also in violation of the law, selling alcohol to minors.
Your Honor, contrary to what the prosecutor has said, My client has no idea that the alcohol bought from his shop was consumed within the car wash area or its premises. He is also not aware that it was consumed by the teenagers mentioned. In fact, he was acting within the law. Therefore, any activity that took place outside his shop, he's not knowledgeable about that. He's also not responsible for the actions of Catherine Kwatu or Ted Soniga, who, on the other hand, were fully aware of their actions.
With me is a police report detailing the sale of alcohol to minors by the accused Wilson Misuko and Okia Wines and Spirits from within the last 5 months, Your Honor.
If the facts of that report are correct, why wasn't there an arrest made within the first month of illegal sale of alcohol?
There was no damning irrefutable proof until now.
This was not submitted in the file with the rest of the documented evidence.
The report was recently compiled, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I move for a dismissal.
I was wondering when you'd speak up.
I move for a dismissal of the case against my clients Ted Soniga and Catherine Kwatu.
On what grounds?
First, they're both minors and under the guardianship of their parents.
Denied. Call in your first witness.
And there is a question of impartiality and selective prosecution.
Speak.
Your Honor, there were a total of 5 teenagers at the car wash that day and only one of them was arrested.
2 teenagers were arrested, not 1.
The primary goal of the police was to arrest Ted Soniga because his father, Edward Soniga, is politically affiliated to the opposition. Catherine Kwatu was just a complication of the frame-up.
Sorry to burst your bubble, Miss Kamona. I'm not here to listen to some loosely spun-up, non-existent conspiracy theory of irresponsible behavior in the parties involved in this case. My job here is to give judgment, which is swift, fair, with no regard for the rich or poor, those politically connected or those not. My job here is to give correctional opportunities on a level ground. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Get seated. Your clients have been charged with being drunk and disorderly, among other things. May the case begin. Call in your first witness.
The prosecution calls Officer Willis Tiliki. Officer Wallace Tiliki, on the 17th of May, you were called onto an accident site. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I was informed of an accident at Millennium Car Wash, which is right next to Okia Wines and Spirit. Immediately the call caught my attention, so I decided to dash there.
Why did it capture your attention?
There have been lodged complaints at our station, complaints filed in by parents on the sales of alcohol to children, which was done so by Okia Wines and Spirit.
And no action had been taken against this shop?
There was no evidence to support the allegations, so we put the car wash and Okia Wine and Spirit shop on our watch list.
Therefore, when you received this call to go to the accident,
I automatically suspected it had something to do with the drunkards. People, teenagers, who drink from their cars.
Under the pretext of car washing.
Objection. There has been no evidence to the court that the car wash was used as a drinking spot.
Parents had lodged complaints.
The complaints were speculative and without base or supporting facts. That's why there were no arrests prior to this incident.
Sustained?
So when you received the call, you headed straight to Millennium Car Wash?
Yes. When I arrived at the location, on site there were 5 teenagers.
Ages between 14 to 16. 4 boys, 1 girl. All 5 were drunk and were in deep altercation with a patron with whom I came to realize that his car was crashed into by one of the drunk teenagers.
Objection, Your Honor. There is no way the officer could determine whether the teenagers were drunk or sober on site.
There are general characteristics displayed by a drunk that leads to the conclusion of levels of blood alcohol toxicity in the blood.
Oh, really? So what was the level of alcohol toxicity in Ted Soniga's blood? So you didn't have to test him before determining that he was drunk.
It's very simple to identify them.
You don't have to answer that question, Officer Tiliki. Miss Kamona, you will have your time to cross-examine the witness.
But, Your Honor,
I am not repeating what I have just said.
My immediate concern when I arrived at the scene was calming the situation because the rowdy teenage boys and the owner of the car that had been hit were close to throwing blows at each other.
Were you successful?
Not really.
Please expound on that.
Ted Soniga, the boy we arrested, was adamant in fighting the car owner.
And even threatened us that his father would have our jobs.
He threatened you that his father would have your jobs terminated because of his political and business connections?
Precisely. The phrase, "Do you know who I am?"
frequently spat out of his lips.
Officer, how did you ascertain that the boy in question was indeed drunk?
Well, we asked him to perform a sobriety test.
Given his attitude, he declined to do so.
I had no other choice but to arrest him, keep him in holding until he sobered up.
What of Catherine Kwatu?
Catherine Kwatu was abusive. She even physically fought us.
How?
She jumped on my back and tried to bite me when we were trying to arrest Ted Soniga. We managed to calm her for a moment. We asked her to perform a sobriety test, which she declined and threatened us to.
With what?
She said Ted's father will put us at our place.
So their physical and verbal abuse and their refusal to take a sobriety test led you to arrest the two, right?
And the fact that Ted was driving without a driver's license and had a motor accident. That by itself is a traffic offense which is punishable by law.
The second offense was for being drunk and disorderly. And the third offense was for resisting arrest.
I see. Officer, how did you establish that the teenagers bought the alcohol from Okia Wines and Spirits?
Your Honor, we recorded statements from the three other boys that were drinking. They confirmed that Ted Soniga paid the car washman to purchase beer and spirits for them.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Tuliki, you mentioned that there were 5 teenagers at the scene.
Correct.
3 of whom provided the evidence you needed to bring this case to trial.
Right.
These other 3, were they drunk or sober when you arrived?
They were not unruly or disorderly like the 2 we arrested.
In your testimony, quote unquote, I arrived at the location. On site, there were 5 teenagers between the ages of 14 to 16, 4 boys and 1 girl. All 5 were drunk and were in a heavy altercation of a patron whose car was crashed. All 5 were drunk. Oh, and there is something else you said. My immediate concern when I arrived at the scene was calming the situation because the rowdy teenage boys and the owner of the hit car were close to exchanging blows. Does this testimony include the other 3 boys whose evidence was so quickly used to bring this case to trial? I advise the court to take Officer Tuliki's silence as a yes.
Duly noted.
According to your statement, all the teenagers were rowdy, rude, and rebellious, physically and verbally abusive. And yet 3 of them managed to be let go.
They did not present sign of lewdness.
Yet, when you arrived at the scene, you witnessed a heavy altercation involving the rowdy teenage boys. The same boys who managed to get away scot-free in exchange for a statement. A statement used to frame Ted Soniga, Catherine Kwatu, and Oki Wines and Spirits for some imaginary crimes.
Are you trying to say I made all this up?
I'm just saying it's odd that only 2 of them were arrested. The question begs to be answered. It's as though there's a plot, a conspiracy, an attempt to pin the crimes on—
Objection, Your Honor. Speculative and purely argumentative.
It is the only explanation that comes forth in this situation, Your Honor.
Accusing a police officer for plotting to arrest a teenager?
The officers offered no explanation why the other drunk boys were not arrested along Ted and Catherine. The statement is the only thing that links Okia Wines and Spirit to the teenagers. We demand an answer to the question. A man's business is hanging on a thread. If the accusation is fabricated, then we have the responsibility of unlocking the truth.
And I should be able to determine that if you stop this bickering and let me do my job. I haven't got all day. Call in the next witness.
The prosecution calls John Humo.
His significance to the case?
He is the owner of the car that was crashed into.
I'll allow him to testify.
John Humo, you were having your car washed at the Millennium Car Wash on the 17th of May. Is that right?
Yes, my car was online at the car wash. I left the keys with the car wash man and went to the bar to take a beer as I awaited my car to be cleaned.
And who was this car wash man?
Peter Dere, that man over there.
Usually, after your car had been washed, you expected Peter Dere to come and inform you.
Sure. Every Thursday evening. That is my routine.
Okay. Tell us what exactly happened on this particular Thursday.
After I dropped my car, I noticed a group of youngsters in an S-Class Mercedes-Benz. Looked quite good looking, but one thing that caught my attention was the booming music from the car and the drunk youngsters in it.
Did you bother to find out exactly what was going on?
Well, I know how best to keep to my business. Right. While I was still on my first beer, Peter, the car washman, rushed into the bar and told me that there was an accident and that my car had been hit. We rushed back to the car wash, and there, my Toyota had been crushed. I wondered how the driver of the Mercedes-Benz had moved from the parking lot to the car wash where my car was. Up to now, that still remains a mystery. Well, I walk around to see little Betty, my Toyota, crushed into half. But I am surprised because nobody in the S Mercedes-Benz was injured, yet the impact was so big.
So what did you do, seeing that your car had been rammed into?
I was worried. I was concerned about the people who were in the S-Class Mercedes-Benz. Only later to see them laughing and high-fiving in their drunken state, oblivious of what they had just done. I demanded to call the police and the insurance, only for that young boy to blurt out at his allowance that the money in his bank account was enough to buy me a brand new showroom car, and that I should talk nicely for him to consider it.
Is it?
The nerve of those rich kids. I stood there. They laughed at me. They laughed at my car. But the police came just in time because I was about to beat the lights out of every single one of them. Asiyefunzwa na mamaye. In this case, babaye atafunzwa na ulimwengu.
Mr. Wilson Misuko, for how long have you owned and run Okio Wines and Spirits?
For about 4 years, and it's also my only source of income.
And during this time, has there been any complaints lodged against you or your operation?
Never.
So for 4 years, you've only sold alcohol on takeaway basis?
Yes, my shop is not spacious. There's hardly a space for even me to put a bench.
What about the car wash across? How long has it been operational?
About the same time. I used to be a manager at Kamende Bar, where the local car owners would come and have a drink or two as they wait for their cars to get cleaned. So I figured out, after someone having 2 or 3, they more to extend. Unajua mbia mbili zinapandisha kiu. So one for the road was a good idea.
I see. Officer Wale Stiliki mentioned that you have been under investigation for the past 5 months for selling alcohol to minors.
That's a lie. I've never sold alcohol to under 18. Now, kama that is the case, no parent ever came to me to complain.
But on the Thursday evening of the 17th May, you were accused of selling alcohol to 5 minors.
No, I didn't.
But they were drinking alcohol within your premises.
Madam, my shop is very small. Hata parking ya gari ya mimi sina nafasi.
So there's no way they could have packed to buy alcohol and consume alcohol within the car?
No way, no way. The space is just enough for the stock and a chair for me. Bas, that's all.
Do you have any idea how those teenagers acquired the alcoholic beef?
Mimi sijui. I've never sold alcohol to the minors. So how they got it, I have no idea.
Nothing further.
From the reports and statements submitted, the teenagers used the second accused, Peter Dere, who is a Kawash man, as their courier.
I have not read the reports.
I am informing you so. Are you familiar with Peter Dere?
Yes. He works at the car wash next to my shop.
How often was Peter used by his clients from the car wash as a courier or a broker to buy them alcohol from your shop?
I don't know, I don't count.
You don't count?
Of course, yes.
Basically, what you're saying is that it was not the first time that Peter bought alcohol from you for his clients. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And he never mentioned who the alcohol was intended for?
No.
Isn't that negligence on your part? Not being aware of who Peter was buying alcohol for?
I run a business. I don't go about asking who is buying what and for who. And besides, most of my clients are couch clients who come and buy takeaways. So maybe they send him. How was I to know? Ask him whether little kids sent him to my shop. But don't question me for running my business.
So what you're saying is that all this is Peter's responsibility?
He took the money. He took the alcohol to the car. He knew what the kids were up to, not me. I wasn't there. I mean, I saw nothing.
See no evil, hear no evil. I am done with this accused person.
Can the second accused take to the stand? Peter Dere, move fast.
You have been put to your defense. There are 3 ways of going about defending yourself. 1, you can give sworn evidence, in which case you can be cross-examined by the prosecutor. 2, you can give evidence not on oath, in which case you cannot be asked any questions. And finally, you may choose to remain silent. How will you defend yourself?
I will not swear. Can you confirm that you're a car wash man carrying out your business next to the first accused shop?
Yes.
So on the material day, did you purchase alcohol for the third and fourth accused person?
Yes.
I saw your lips move, but I did not hear a word of what you said. Were you aware they were minors?
Yes.
I didn't hear that either. Were you aware they're minors?
Yes.
Was the owner of Okia Wines and Spirits aware of the fact that you're buying alcohol for minors who are parked in the premises?
Yes.
If there's one thing I was hoping that you have learned from the few hours of being in my courtroom, is that I hate time wastage. We are going to do this one more time, and this time you had better...
The boys normally come at the car wash to drink. They stay in the car the entire time.
Was the owner of Okia Wines and Spirits aware that the alcohol you're purchasing was actually for minors?
Yes.
Be seated. Ms. Kamona?
Your Honor, my clients will not be testifying.
Good. And thank you for saving the court's time. Now that we have that confession in place by the second accused, and the facts of the case are pretty laid out, bare as that can be, there is no need for a tussle on any other matter. I shall make my ruling forthwith. I find all the accused persons guilty as charged. And before sentencing, Ted Soniga, Ms. Kamona, be seated. From the confessions I've had in this case, you are an obnoxious, disrespectful, poorly mannered child with no regard for authority and no respect for your fellow mankind. Catherine Kwatu. You two I put in the same category with your little boyfriend here. Both of you are extremely irresponsible and totally misguided. Instead of being in school on a Thursday afternoon, you're busy getting drunk, crashing cars, picking fights with people who are old enough to be your seniors. But unfortunately, this seems to stem from your roots. But another unfortunate thing for you, the days when parents used to pay the mistakes of their children is long gone. You will have to bear your own cross. Wilson Misuko. Selling alcohol to minors is unforgivable.
Your Honor, I wasn't aware that they are...
I talk, you listen. I've already found you guilty on both accounts of selling alcohol to minors and violation of the terms of your license by having people drink in your premises.
If I may, Your Honor, in mitigation, the teenagers were not drinking within the premise, but they were drinking at the car.
I hereby fine you 250,000 Kenya shillings in default 6 months imprisonment and revoke your license of selling alcohol. No license is to be issued to you until the end of 2 years.
Your Honor.
You interrupt me again when I'm giving my ruling, I will double the fine.
250,000 ni mingi sana. I mean, I don't know.
Failure to pay the fine results in a jail term. And that is where you belong anyway.
250.
Make your choice.
250 is too much, Your Honor.
Very well, a jail sentence.
Oh, okay, it's okay. No, I'll pay.
Bailiff, bring me Peter Dere.
Mheshimiwa, haki sitarudia tena. I promise. Never, never again.
Na hii iwe funzo. Do not be a courier boy in any illegal activity. I fine you 45,000 Kenya shillings.
Haki siwezi hiyo.
Okay, a jail term of 3 months.
Mungu wangu. Mungu wangu.
For the 2 teenagers, Ted and Catherine.
Your Honor, may I please be heard on a lighter sentence?
No, be seated. I have found you both guilty as charged. I sure would have loved to give you a custodial sentence, but that will mess up with your education. A monetary fine? That may as well mean nothing. I therefore give you a non-custodial sentence of 3 hours of grass cutting on Uhuru Highway for the next 2 weeks. However, if you come before me again, I will not be this sympathetic. Court's adjourned for 30 minutes.